Good morning. Welcome back. It's Monday. If you're not aware, of course you are. All right. Let's see where things are at. So another historic day with the Dow punching through 50,000. Let me put up some charts. Okay. Start with gold because it appears to have made a low here. We'll see how far it gets. And the dollar, we'll take a look at, rallied up to minor resistance and started to turn lower. And that should help gold start to move up. 65-minute chart. You can see it's going sideways at some resistance there. You can see the area right there, that daily high in the 65-minute chart. But it's going sideways at resistance rather than so far pulling back. So a little bit different, but everything is a little different, but similar or the same. That was a move up near resistance, and it corrects. Now, this would evolve into a conversation of multiple time frames, which we can have in coaching tomorrow, by the way. You should have gotten an email, I think it was a week ago. But what's happening here right now, as we look at the charts and make an assessment of the price action and probabilities, as this has come up to resistance so far, it's just going sideways. It's not pulling back. So it's making a little shelf. Okay, fine. But going sideways at resistance communicates that buyers are confident and continue to step up even on minor little retracements. And they only do that for one reason. They think it's going to go higher. So keep an eye on gold. And so let's look at silver, because that got hit a little bit harder. So it's not as attractive. It's going sideways at resistance. On the 65-minute, it did have a nice size retracement and cleared some prior highs. So it's more neutral, but coming up into minor resistance there. So not as attractive, which would communicate the probability that it would need not that, I'm always explaining things because as I think about it deeper, we can add more content to this. Anything can go up, right? Meaning it can go up faster than you believe it could, or maybe you believe it could go up and it goes slower. Anyway, we look at the chart and we make an assessment based on our method, and we come to some bias. So I would think based on this chart, maybe a little bit more time backing and filling here, which would be constructive, and I would be more confident of its ability to move up into that void, even though it came down as hard as it did, as it begins to create a new support area. And we look at bar by bar analysis, you know, at some point we think, okay, that's a good trade setup. Where I think gold looks better, but it's not quite just ready yet, but it's more ready than silver. Then we look at the dollar, and again, these gaps are created by dividends. So you can just visualize this, and I got to figure out how I can get the futures to work. It's not lining up here on this chart, but in any event, what we have, this part of it, it's up against minor resistance where I know sellers are going to be. And if the dollar starts to pull back, that is good for gold to go up. Now, also, you have the euro. So when we think about the dollar trading against other currencies and we look for patterns like this one, where it had a big momentum move, it pulled back. You can measure this with your protractor or your fib levels or however you want, or look at some converging moving averages, or just apply bar by bar analysis, and it's pulled back and we get some consolidation and a turn up. And so it's already on its way up. So the bias there would be buying pullbacks or, it's got room to run before it reaches this resistance area. How far can it go in a day? Well, as far as traders want to take it. But as we look at just say average true range, it's already a pretty big range. You could go a little bit further and you could look at things like trader pivot lines or something like that. But looking to the left, there isn't any significant resistance there until it gets up into this area. So that looks like it's going to go higher. And I'm just curious, to look at, see the pound's got this congestion there. It's not as attractive. We have some nice Canadians in the room. That looks pretty good. And what's so good about that? Well, it hasn't moved as far as the euro, and it's got a nice 65-minute base and room to go higher. It's had a bit of a run on the 5-minute there. But that's a constructive chart, a daily uptrend, a nice pullback. We already looked at the dollar. So that looks like it's rolling over. So this looks pretty good, like it can go up. Okay. As we've talked about, the markets are a bit wacky. AI, Trump effect, but there's been so many whipsaws. Now, it's not that we don't see whipsaws now and then, but there's been so many lately. It's kind of crazy. So bonds, this topping pattern, they break down, and then they had this big move into bonds last week as the market sold off. And so it's into all this resistance in the declining 50, and it's starting to chop around here. But historically, patterns like this, that rounding top, break, nasty break like that, and look at this bar right here. And look, what we do is we look at pictures and we look at historical pictures and say, this is what happened in the past. So in the past, a pattern like this with that kind of a bar does this. And now we've got this deep move back up into here. So a little bit of a whipsaw there. So we'll see what this does over the course of this week. Let's look at equities. And as S&P futures. And you can see here's a lot of whipsaws. Break out, break down, back up again, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Last week we talked about this support area in SPX. And so there's a big up day on Friday. It's like, it looked like the markets were ready to crater. They didn't. Bitcoin turned up. We'll take a look. And it was buy it at any price you can get in and back up into the middle of the trading range. So here, breadth on that day was pretty good, respectable. Sometimes coming off of a low, this will go up to, a plus 2,000, but, plus 1,600, 1,600 on an up day, that's respectable. And the last time it did that, there was a rally. And so while it's into all of this congestion, just that this was into that congestion at the time, it did go higher. But this is the kind of bar that supports, okay, it should keep going. Now, it didn't keep going very far. That's just been the market environment. But the pattern here is this one here, where it started to go up and it took out the lows and flipped up again. So let's look for something like that, today, tomorrow. If we get that kind of a correction bar, that would support a bias that this could go up and potentially, the futures make new all-time highs. And of course, the S&P 500 make new all-time highs. Spiders, there was the major support. And at the time, if it didn't turn up, if it had stayed down here for a couple of days, that would open up the door into the void below. This is a void. momentum, time correction sideways. And you could have had, markets plummeting down into this area. Didn't happen. Bitcoin turned around, saved the day, and risk on. So look at the weekly chart. What a mess. Look at all those bars there. Just whipping back and forth. And overall, we'll look at SPX. 6,900 has just been that, I don't know, let's call it rubber band, where things get stretched a little bit from it and gets yanked back. So where are things at here? They're down a little bit. Top of the wide range bar, bullish, looks fine. Just in the middle of the range, it's a mess. Right. SPX 6,900. Band, whatever, the leash, get too far away from it, gets yanked back. And if it goes up, I suspect it'll get yanked back. And that expectations come from the past and until something changes. So we'll see if we can get some kind of correction bar. We don't have that over here because correction bar happened on the futures overnight. So nothing there. It was just a slowing in momentum and then a continuation higher that made a peekaboo up to new all-time highs and then collapsed right back down again. But we got a nice big wide range bar. And I already looked at the breadth there. So we had that confirmation. It's gapping down a little bit. You see the 65-minute chart here. And as it came up to that resistance that ended the move on Friday. And right now it's just down a little bit, not a big deal. Friday's top strike did get hit. That was a big extreme move. Again, these strikes that we start with each day are where we believe SPX will not go to. And I would have thought, it's interesting, thoughts are created by past price action, historical price action. And so based on a bar of this size, this top number would have been over 7,000. So why isn't it? I think there's still some, I guess you can use that analogy, climb the wall of worry, which is markets really kind of done, as long as it's not software, right? And the worry is like, will I ever get my money back? That's the software ETF right there. So 6,900, the middle of the range, that's today's top number. It's opening up here. And unless some disastrous new Trumpism comes out, it's not going down there today. Right? It's more likely that some continuation of Friday could happen and it could continue to go up. So we'll see, how that plays out. Average true range has opened up to over 100 points, 111 points. So average true range gives us some expectation of what's possible on any given day. And it could go up there and 100, 111, 100 points. So again, there's plenty of congestion there. It had a heck of a run, and wide range bars are typically followed by narrow range bars. That's the historical pattern. Every once in a while, you do get, continuations. But ideally, the ideal scenario, which is, look, that's what we always look for because it gives us the highest probability trading opportunities, would be some consolidation, a number 2 bar or a 1, 2, 3, 4, and then a long setup. All right. So looking around others before I hand it over to Dan. Right. Now, this is what makes this market. All markets are interesting, but others are like, this is incredible. And what's incredible about this market is the extreme divergence between what's going up and what's not, or going down. And here we have the NASDAQ 100 breaking down below major support levels, turning the trend down, even though you had a wide range bar up. This movement for me turns the trend down, meaning that's my bias, even though it doesn't have lower highs and lower lows. Now, can it rebuild, like go sideways at that resistance and go higher? In part, that's a little bit of my expectation of what it should do based on this big reversal day. Some consolidation and an attempt to go up. And right now, it's just hanging out doing a lot of nothing. And here's the Dow futures, new all-time high, giant wide range bar. It's consolidating, doing a lot of nothing here. For short-term traders, this might be an intraday short. Thinking out loud here that maybe this pulls back a bit into this bar, which would not change anything on the daily time frame, being bullish and in an uptrend. A lot of wide range whippy action. I wrote a little article coming out later today about this price action, so look out for that. You get an email. And look at SPX. Look at that gold. What's oil doing? I'm going to look at Bitcoin. Of course, there's so much in the news there. Oil's not doing anything. We'll see if that moves up or down. And Bitcoin, that was that plummet down to 60,000, and then the reversal that stabilized the markets. And so for right now, it's just marking time like everything else. So a little chop back and forth. Your internet ETF here, that's what we call a climactic pattern. So it came out of a consolidation. It started to move down, minor retracement, and then the acceleration, this accelerated. So stabilization, these software stocks, I'm thinking could be short-term opportunities, where they pop up a little bit. Be great if they had, I don't have it in here, but 65-minute chart, little sideways price action to build an intraday base would be great. And I just mentioned in the green room, the stocks in software, it's getting demolished. It closed at $98 and it's down here at $79. So there's still a lot of risk in these software stocks. I assume that one reported earnings. So that's it for today. Yeah, I think that's it for today. So there's a lot of good things out there and there's a lot of bad things out there, and that's what we're dealing with right now. All yours, Dan.
Good morning. That was earnings, Mindy. This will be my favorite put spread watch, and maybe 30-minute high. Gap and snaps or gap and craps. I guess, vanilla rule, 30-minute high or low, just because sometimes a big gap can just continue lower. And then we just look for a different intraday entry. And I hope everyone had fun. Super Bowl. And a lot of comments about it. So, this is steady selling. So independently, this is not a good, I know I wasn't crazy about that halftime show, and I didn't care about the teams, and I wasn't impressed with the commercials. Well, maybe there was 2 or 3 is all. And more the techie ones I like, but yeah, wasn't a top 10 event for me, that's for sure. So this is steady selling, but today's gap down suggests a short-term exhaustion. And I like on gap and snaps, I like fluid moves into the open also, instead of gapping down and just going sideways, which would have more of a likelihood to continue lower. So I got that in the bottom right here. And look at this. I don't know what this company does. Kilo Delta. But look at that nasty gap. I mean, look at that. Over 60% gap down. This would, had this open flat, That would have been a Climo with a multi-bar reversal bear sandwich. So that would have been a nice trade, but now I'm just throwing it into the category of bearish but excessive and see what it does. These are the earnings over here. Lima, I don't see where it's opening, but a Climo, regardless of where it opens, my bias would be 30-minute low call spread because it's a Climo with a topping tail into earnings. So whether it opens up, down, or sideways, we'll see if it's a short-term exhaustion for a call spread, not or a day trade short. Dude, I'm having trouble logging into Thinkorswim. I'm hitting continue and it's just sitting there doing nothing. I want to see if they have weeklies. I can't get into Thinkorswim. EPC gapping down to 20 bucks, no pattern. CMA, let me exit over here. CMA, that looks very similar to Lima. Very similar Climo, top and tail. I mean, they came out of basis, so they're strong, but just short-term trades. Flip Clavin, 1375. It's a mess. Login is temporarily unavailable. Don't get in the Thinkorswim. Let me try it on my laptop. No weeklies, thanks. Cliff Clavin, I got nothing there. Powell gapping up a little bit. Well, it's gapping up a lot actually, because it's a penny, almost a penny stock. Yeah, you'd have to watch it for a pattern to develop. APO. All right, there you go. There's a put spread. I don't like it directionally, but with the gap up, if it holds, no, Greg, I'm not, because the guy didn't finish on Friday, and he said I'm going home, so we'll kind of finish it Monday. Greg was asking me if I'm working on the new computer again. I tried to get it done. All right, so I'm logging in on my laptop. I don't know what the problem is here. But we got Lima, we got CIA, we got APO as put spread. Is not you doing? You're having trouble too, Mike? Toss? APO does have weeklies, so that's good. The next step will be, are they liquid? And as of right now, they are not. So we'll, just wait 10 minutes. And this gapping down. Had it open flat, it would have been a put spread idea. Now 204, nothing. Actually, you know what? I actually set an alarm at 208. Why? Because if it can recover, then it'll be a bear gap that bullies in an uptrend. I got bullish weekly, monthly. Let's see what that does. TPG. Another Climo. TPG Partners. So let's see what that does. Yeah, I got Oracle on the list here as a Climo. Microsoft, Climo. A lot of the, with this AI tech wreck on the IGV. I mean, look at volume. When you get Climos That's exactly the type of volume you want to see, both leading into the turn and at the turn. All right, alarms going off here, and then we'll just go to my big watch list. But all right, Munster, we're in this. I had an up alarm go off, nice railroad tracks. Kind of been dead money. We entered over here, sat through this pullback. That would have been a nice place to add. APO, this sector was also getting killed. There was an article in Barron's about it. They're the private equity, high risk lending companies were getting whacked. I don't know why AI would affect private lending company. Munster is fine. IoT, Climo, there's Climos everywhere. All right, so IoT is good to go. I'll just say 5 minute. 5 minute high ago. IoT, we got deck buy setup. That came from one of you all. My alarm went off 1:15:45. Okay, it looks like it's coming in, so I will just reset the alarm. I don't like when they gap over the entry. I like just nice clean hits. Our deck, yeah, that's pulling in so good. FinX, another Climo I like. This almost looks like IGV. I didn't look under the hood. FinTech, the rest looks very similar to IGV, doesn't it? But that's a nice Climo. Owl, this is the money manager. Blue Owl, that was the article in Barron's, but that looks fantastic. Same Owl or pull back into Gap. So I'll put that in a window and watch the old Owl. EOSE 1257. All right, that was a put spread greater than 100%. That's a great example of greater than 100% retracement. See, it went from the top of the range all the way down, taking out this pivot, and then reversed. So that's a a great turning spot. So we have them as a put spread idea. MDB. Yeah, I was gonna put that in the weekend letter, but spreads, I think only gave like 3 official trades in the weekly because of this. Yeah, only 3. And because of the stupid spreads. So Cream, EOSC, and Microsoft. So look at Cream software. Yeah, I wouldn't do that as a directional because it came down too sloppily. But I got 3 bars of stabilization, and the entry is Thursday's high. Then I have the confidence that it should bounce, and I got a short-term low for the week, and that's Pittsburgh. Sitla, this guy Cream, they were taking like a $28 billion charge for wasting money on EVs. Hood was on this was my favorite setup on Friday. And it was a gap and go. It got an upgrade, so it's up a little bit. Those are all my alarms, and now perfect timing. The market's opening. BDX alarm. Anna, what did I just say on this? I said I had a 208 alarm if it could negate the gap. Still not doing anything right now, but it did what I thought might be possible. In these, hey, Steven, let me type these out because this thing um, scrolls up. Let me get through my alarms here. Yeah, Alex, I have both gold stocks alarm go off, HL and uh, where are you? Ego, both those alarms went off for me pre-market. So I like they're both watches. Whoa, look at the wide range bar down in the cues. Whenever I see that, I just immediately look up at my fangs. And Netflix, Google coming in. IT alarm. That's an exhaustion gap. All right, so my alarm went off. I'm gonna reset it now higher, 158.30 on IT. And again, that's a beautiful put spread candidate. But go look at the spreads. Okay. 58.40.
Probably got too much to look at already, Dan, but consider Meta for a put spread expiring today.
Sure.
650, 650. Oh, guess you got to go
Sure.
7 wide. Wish I'm willing to.
650. I'm looking.
It's 81 by 92.
Undo.
It's
Yeah.
bouncing around, of course.
650, 640. ITA alarm. Military. PHM alarm. That's a little bull rectangle, but it's got rejected quick. And these are all alarms. APTV, that's a continuation pattern. KKR, another Climo. It's one of those management firms. Again, I checked puts on there on all of these. I looked the spreads, but I was you could do the 98s on that. That'd be a good. I mean, I don't like this stalling here and then igniting down for a directional, but it's a beautiful put spread. KKR. Say 40 cents by 135. It's a stupid spreads. AXON. Yeah, man, that's a cleaner. I like that. Did I put that in the letter? I think I did. Yeah, it's in there official. I made it over Thursday's high. That's a Climo, yeah. ITA. That might be an early alarm, I'm not sure. BDX. Region, Alex, that's on your list, I liked. Again, put spreads were ludicrous, but that's a directional watch. Excel. I need a pullback, ISRG, that's another Climo. Snap, another Climo. CELH. That Alex, I did not put this in the advisory letter because of the rounding top, but that would definitely would have been a day trade Friday's high, but now my low alarm is going off, so I'm gonna ignore it. Alpha Gol. Yeah, I mean, I just didn't like the big stop myself, because the entry has to be over that thing with a stop under that thing. Thursday slow. And I looked at puts again. Back of my alarm. That actually hit cleanly, so over 95, 25, 95, 26. Apple, Amazon, Netflix all falling on the